Hello and welcome to Deck Doctor episode 4, and this week we are going to cover Yellow Rush. This is a very strong deck and very cheap deck as well, with one epic and the rest are just commons and rares. This Deck Doctor's purpose is to teach you how to play Rush but also defend against it. Understanding Yellow's tactics will help you figure out how to counter the deck. Let's get into the list and look at the cards. To start off with, we have your non-haste creatures that will apply pressure to your opponent. Origin Templar is a mobile aggressor that threatens a lot of damage. This card applies pressure with the threat of dealing 6 damage to your opponent. The dash gives you strong positional options and you can navigate around your opponent's defenders. The closer this card is to your opponent, the more they will prioritize in removing it. Shaitan Demon has a great stat line for its cost. The demon provides enormous pressure for free Faeria and will play a key part in maintaining board control. Its production ability can be troublesome against some matchups like Burn, but shouldn't be too much of a problem. Dune Drake is a mobile flyer that is your best opening creature. Its charge 2 and flying lets it get into dangerous positions. Its mobility makes this card great at destroying enemy harvesters. Not being able to collect Ferrier is a pain, but the purpose of this card is to control the board. Khalim's Follower is a cheap and effective way to deal damage to your opponent. This will activate Khalim's Prayer and power up your Zealous Crusaders. Followers can be used as Ferrier collectors and blockers in the right situation. Origin Monk is part of the deck's draw engine. One hit from this guy gives you a card, activates Khalim's Prayer and powers up those Zealous Crusaders. Don't be afraid to use this creature as a removal card if you're in a tough situation. These cards will help you maintain board control and finding that extra damage when you need it. Soul Drain is part of your damage based removal and drains life from an enemy. Draining life requires a creature to have up to 2 life to gain the maximum healing. If a creature has 1 life, then you will only heal for 1. Wind Soldier is a creature that acts as removal. This card can collect Faeria and with charge 3 has incredible reach. The more Faeria you collect with this card on its journey, the more value it gives you. This card can also be used as an activator for Khalim's Prayer if you hit the orb. One of Yellow's key features is hard removal. This is a powerful way to deal with your opponent's defenders. Choking Sand is an excellent way to answer cheap taunts like Living Willow and Grim Guard. Yellow Rush can struggle against high health taunters. It's the only epic in the deck and is ran as a one-of in a lot of Yellow's archetypes. Last Nightmare destroys a creature but will still trigger those last word effects. You ideally want to play this card when you have a creature on board to continue applying pressure. Playing Last Nightmare as your only card during a turn gives your opponent time to rebuild their defenses because of its steep Ferrier cost. Yellow Rush doesn't use Ferrier harvesters, but has cards in its arsenal to help you gain Ferrier. I've mentioned Khalim's Prayer a few times already because it's a key card to Yellow Rush's economy. When you hit your opponent's orb, you can activate the event, giving you 2 additional Faeria and drawing a card. This card stops Yellow Rush from running out of gas. Death Wish School costs 3 Faeria but gives you 2 Faeria back when it's destroyed. This card is a cheap way to establish board control but also gives you resources back when it's answered. If your opponent trades a card with the ghoul, you've gained value. Last but not least, we have the Dex Wind Condition. Zealous Crusader gains +1/+1 when you hit your opponent's orb. This power up is applied if the card is in your hand or deck. The haste creatures we covered earlier will be your primary source of power ups for your Crusaders. This card can grow into a massive creature, and at only 4 Faeria it makes an excellent finisher and comeback card. That covers the cards. Now let's take a look at the Mulligan. In your opening hand you want a creature that can start applying pressure. Dune Drake is by far the best opener because of its mobility. Shaitan Demon is good because of its stats, while Templar is the weaker of the two, but it only costs 1 desert. You're going to be wanting to challenge your opponent's Faeria harvesters right at the start, and that's why Dune Drake is the best because of its charge, but also because of its flying. If you have a good opening creature, then these cards are good for support. Khalim's Prayer is great for your economy, while Monk can get those early orb hits in to draw cards. Choking Sand can deal with a cheap taunt and blockers to allow your creatures that orb damage, but you're gonna want to find one of the other creatures first before you even consider any of these cards. So now we've covered the cards, so let's talk about land placement. So your objective is to build lands up to your opponent's orb, and you accomplish this by using the prairies, or the neutral lands as I like to call them. You're always going to start off with your first 2 neutral lands going straight up, and this is going to tell your opponent straight away that you're a rush deck. So if you're a defender and you see these 2 lands, expect some aggro from your opponent. Now, depending on your opening hand, will decide on what land you'll place next. So let's say you don't have a Dune Drake, you're probably just going to develop 2 extra neutrals and then start to build deserts from there. But if you do have a Dune Drake, you're going to be wanting to build a desert next, and then you can play your Dune Drake on there on turn 2, and it can start to challenge those harvesters or deal some orb damage. So let's just say, for example, you've taken the double neutrals here, and you're going to want to start building some deserts to apply pressure. And these deserts are going to be the most important because they allow you 2 avenues for you to deal damage to your opponent. Now, in some cases, you might have to build that central desert, but you kind of want your opponent to do that because that's a resource that they have to spend. The most ideal deserts for you, now you don't need both of these, but one of these is great, is a desert at the Ferrier well. So that means whenever you play a haste creature in the spot to attack the orb, they will gain Faeria from the well. And also if you play any non-haste creatures, if they remain active, if they don't get destroyed the next turn, they will be able to harvest that Faeria and have some influence on the board. So that wraps up my guide on Yellow Rush. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed and learned something about Yellow Rush, whether you're going to be the rusher yourself or you're going to be defending against it. Now just remember, it's very important for you guys to control the board first, and then you can start going for the orb and building up that big Zealous Crusader. You want to starve your opponent of Ferrier so they can't respond to your cheap and efficient threats. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, as this is where I'll be posting all my videos from now on. And be sure to check out the link below at the hub for more guides, decks, and articles. So until next time guys, take care, have a great day.